William liked to read the obituary columns in the newspapers, not out of any morbid interest, but because he appreciated potted biography. There were such extraordinary lives being led, he felt. It was a tribute to the inventiveness of humanity that people could devise such varied ways of passing the time. Unlike me, he thought, whose obituary might run to a few lines at most and would make for very dull reading. William French, wine merchant, it would begin, and then what? There was no distinguished university record, no university record at all, in fact. There was no military service, unless one counted a short spell in the woodcraft folk as a teenager, and that organisation was decidedly unmilitaristic in its outlook. His life had not even been touched by controversy. The obituaries of those touched by scandal often made very edifying reading, particularly if they recorded a comeback. The unfortunate Mr. Profumo, who suffered banishment because he did not tell the truth to the House of Commons, spent years thereafter doing good works and was justly rewarded in the end with a glowing obituary. Of course, he had the misfortune to mislead Parliament before it became a standard practice for Parliament to be misled, on a daily basis, by half-truths and massaged figures. William's favourite obituary was that of that great and good man, the Archon of Swat, also known as the Wali of Swat. His obituary in the Times following his death in 1987 was full of colourful detail. The Wali, who ruled over a territory that eventually ceased to exist, disliked lawyers and heard his subjects' legal cases personally, his door being open to all. He grew roses and wore elegant English suits. The obituary concluded, "In the eyes of his people, in an age of pygmies, a giant has just passed away." We could not all be a Wali of Swat, nor, thought William, could we be a Richard Branson creating airlines here and there and flying in immense balloons, or Louis Mountbatten running military campaigns in that titanic struggle against a real Axis, presiding over a crumbling Raj, dispensing advice to kings and presidents. By comparison with such lives, our days were inconsequential indeed, and yet even though our canvas was small, we could still paint a masterpiece, as long as we were content for it to be a miniature. The real issue was that of acceptance. Most of us, thought William, are in the same boat as I am. Most of us have not done anything remarkable, nor are we likely to. Most of us are destined to lead life on a relatively modest scale. Yet that doesn't mean that we should resent the apparent smallness of our lives, which are as large in their way as the lives of those caught up in great events. A moral dilemma is equally absorbing whether the stakes are the destiny of nations or the happiness of one or two people, at the most. And the same was true of a love affair. Romantic heroes may have their romantic heroines, and the resulting romances may take place against exotic backdrops. But the essential matter, the attraction of one to another, the search for completeness, the sad, insistent human longing, was the same wherever and however it occurred, had the same dignity, the same magnificence. The moping, lovesick teenager, blissfully unaware that his or her feelings were precisely those that his parents and everybody else had felt, might slip into solipsism, but surely must be forgiven because his teenage love affair, short-lived though it might be, was every bit as important, as magnificent, as that conducted by Romeo and Juliet or by Pyramus and Thisbe. William glimpsed this insight. Doing what all of us should do from time to time, but which the demands of quotidian existence prevent us from doing, sitting down and taking stock of what his life was about and what it meant, he suddenly realized that if he felt that he had achieved nothing, it was because he had failed to cherish what he had in fact done. He had filled his days doing ordinary, unexceptional things and thought nothing of them, but they were far from nothing. Even the act of making his morning cup of tea as he looked bleary-eyed over the rooftops of Pimlico amounted to a small miracle. That there should, in this cold void of space, be a small blue planet on which he, a rather complex collection of cells, should be delighting in the dried black leaves of a plant that grew half a world away, that surely was astonishing and worthy of celebration and awe. And that was even before one started to address the mystery of consciousness, that this collection of cells engaged in the making of tea should trigger enough electrical activity to produce consciousness of all things, even while being unable to explain exactly what consciousness was. Yet, what was the point of it?